The Galactic Council Chamber was alive with whispers, laughter, and flashing lights. Across the stars, billions of beings tuned in to watch the scene unfold. The Council had demanded Earth surrender or face destruction. And now, everyone waited. To see humanity's answer, the alien fleets were ready. Thousands of warships floated in orbit around the twin suns of the Council world. Bright banners of different empires glowed across their hulls. Every species wanted to see Earth humiliated. Why? Because humans were newcomers to the galaxy. A young race. A race from a single death world, as aliens called it. The Council had given them a choice, kneel or burn. And now, Earth had answered Dot through the black void of space. A ship appeared. One ship, only one. The chamber erupted in noise. Is this a joke? One alien laughed, slamming his clawed hand on the table. They only sent one ship, another shouted. Perhaps humans are even weaker than we thought. The sound of laughter spread through the chamber like a storm. The broadcast carried across dozens of star systems. Everywhere, aliens laughed. At Earth's choice, one ship against an empire? Impossible. But in the back of the chamber, some voices were not laughing. They whispered instead. Why only one? What are they hiding? The ship itself was strange. It was dark, its hull scarred and rough, as if it had survived battles before. It was smaller than the grand cruisers of the Council. No banners, no shining armor. Just silence. Admiral Kale of the Vorn Empire leaned forward, his sharp teeth glinting. He had destroyed entire planets before, but even he felt uneasy. Why send one ship? It makes no sense. The Council speaker, a tall insectoid with golden eyes, spread her wings. Do not fear, Admiral. Humanity is arrogant. They believe. They can frighten us with games, but we will crush them. And their lone ship will be the first to fall. Her words sparked another round of laughter. Yet still, the lone vessel drifted closer, silent, calm. Unhurried Dot in homes and stations across the galaxy. Crowds gathered to watch. Children pointed at the human ship and giggled. Elders shook their heads, saying, the humans are fools. Traders bet credits on how many minutes the ship would last before being destroyed. But inside the human vessel, silence reigned. Captain Elias Ward stood on the command deck. His face was hard, carved by years of war. His crew moved quietly, their eyes steady, their hands calm. They were not here to laugh. They were not here to play. Transmit message, Ward ordered. Across the Council chamber, screens lit up. A human face appeared, cold eyes. Steady voice. You asked why Earth sent only one ship, Ward said. His voice carried to every fleet, every world. The answer is simple. He leaned forward. One is enough. The chamber fell silent. The laughter choked. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then once more, the laughter came, but softer, uneasy this time. Arrogant humans, someone spat. Empty threats. Admiral Kale narrowed his eyes. Or a warning. Ships across the system locked weapons on the lone human vessel. Thousands. Oath cannons glowed. Missiles armed. The sky itself seemed to burn with the energy of 1,000 suns preparing to fire. The human ship, still small, still silent, drifted forward. On planets far away, citizens leaned closer to their screens. The tension was thick. Was this human captain insane? Did Earth truly believe one ship could stand against thousands? The Council speaker raised her wings once more. Destroy them. But before the order reached the fleets, the human ship pulsed. A low hum vibrated through space. Alien sensors went wild, flashing warnings, power levels they had never seen before. Energy signatures that bent logic itself. The laughter died. Fear began. And then, without a word, The human ship sent a single burst of data across the galaxy. It was not a threat, not a demand, just coordinates. Coordinates to Earth. The message was clear. Come and see. If you dare. Billions stared at their screens in silence. What was hidden on that blue world? Why would humans be so confident? And then Captain Ward's face returned to the broadcast. You wanted humanity's answer, he said. His voice was steady, but his eyes carried fire. This is it. We don't need fleets. We don't need armies. We don't need thousands. One ship is enough. The galaxy did not laugh anymore. The galaxy stared in silence. But Admiral Kale leaned forward, his teeth bared in a cruel smile. Then let us test their words. The order was given. Fleets moved. Weapons powered. The battle of one ship against an empire was about to begin. And across the stars. Everyone watched. Because for the first time in history, it was not the galaxy judging humanity. It was humanity judging the galaxy. The alien armada stretched across the stars. Thousands of warships, their hulls burning with the like of reactors, moved into position. Their cannons glowed red, missiles armed. Fighters swarmed like angry insects. The galaxy had gathered its power to crush one small human ship. The lone vessel still drifted forward, silent, calm. On the bridge of the Vorn flagship, Admiral Kale stood tall, claws gripping the edge of his command chair. His reptilian eyes narrowed as he studied the human ship. It was smaller than his cruisers, barely half their size. No escorts, no fleet behind it, just one ship. Ridiculous, his second-in-command growled. We outnumber them 10,000 to 1. Kale did not answer. Something inside him whispered caution. He had fought many wars, but never had an enemy acted like this. Never had a race dared to face the Council with only one vessel. Across the system, fleets from other empires laughed over their coms. Fire on them now. End this joke before it goes too far. Humans must think we fear them. But Kale raised a hand. Wait. His voice was sharp, cutting through the noise. Let them make the first move. I want to see what they are hiding. The order spread. The armada held its fire. The galaxy held its breath. Inside the human ship, Captain Elias Ward stood at the center of his bridge. His crew worked in silence. Their eyes were steady, their hands calm. They knew what was coming. They knew they were outnumbered. Yet not one of them looked afraid. Ward's voice was quiet, but firm. Weapons ready? Ready, Captain? Shields? Stable. He nodded. Then let them come. The alien fleets advanced. The stars seemed to vanish under the sheer size of their ships. A sea of metal, stretching for light minutes, all focused on the single human vessel. The council speaker's voice echoed across the comms. Humanity's arrogance ends today. Fire at will. The sky exploded. Thousands of beams of energy cut through the darkness. Torpedoes roared across space. The combined power of the galaxy surged toward one point. Toward the lone human ship. On billions of screens, the people of the galaxy watched. Traders, soldiers, children, everyone waited for the human ship to vanish in fire. But when the storm cleared, the human ship was still there. Not a scratch, not a dent. It drifted calmly, its hull glowing faintly, as if it had simply swallowed the fire of 1,000 suns. Silence swept across the fleets. On Kale's bridge, his officers froze. Impossible, one whispered. No ship can survive that. Kale's claws dug into his chair. So this is their game. On the human bridge, Ward gave a single order. Return fire. The vessel moved for the first time. Slowly, gracefully. A single cannon extended from its side. It was small compared to the weapons of the alien armada. almost laughable. But when it fired, the galaxy stopped laughing. A single beam of white. Light lanced across the void. It touched the nearest alien battleship. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the battleship exploded, tearing apart in silence, a flower of fire blooming in the void. Thousands of alien lives ended in an instant. Gasps echoed across the fleets. Ward's voice came across the comms, calm and cold. One shot, one kill. The alien fleets panicked. Some captains pulled back. Others shouted for revenge. Weapons charged again, but their hands shook. Fear spread faster than fire. The council speaker screamed into the comms. Do not falter. They cannot defeat us all. Attack. Kale's eyes stayed locked on the human ship. His instincts screamed at him. This was no ordinary weapon. No ordinary ship. This was something ancient, something deadly. His second-in-command trembled. Admiral, should we retreat? Kale's voice was low. Not yet, but this is no longer a battle. This is a test. The fleets opened fire again. Waves of energy crashed against the human ship. Again and again. And again the ship survived. Its hull pulsed faintly, glowing brighter with every strike, as if it fed on the enemy's weapons. Ward gave another order. Second target. The ship fired again. Another alien cruiser vanished in fire. Then another. One by one, the Armada's pride and power turned to wreckage. Across the galaxy, watchers whispered the same words. One ship. Only one. For the first time in history, the galaxy began to fear Earth. But Kale was not done. His teeth bared in a cruel smile. So this is your secret, human. Impressive. But let us see how long you can last against all of us. He raised his claw. Signal every fleet. Full assault. Fighters, bombers, dreadnoughts. All of them. Humanity will bleed today. On the human bridge, alarms rang. Thousands of fighters swarmed toward them. Waves of missiles following. The crew tightened their grips on the controls. Ward's voice remained steady. So be it. Let them come. The lone ship powered up, its engines glowing like a newborn star. For the first time, it moved not as prey, but as a predator. The second battle was about to begin. And across the stars, the galaxy finally understood the truth. One ship was not weakness. One ship was a warning. Asterisk. The galaxy burned. Thousands of alien fighters swarmed through the void, their engines blazing like angry fireflies. Missiles streaked forward. Dreadnoughts and cruisers lit the stars of the storm of energy. The Armada of the Galactic Council had finally unleashed its full power. And yet, the lone human ship did not run. It did not hide. It advanced. On Admiral Kale's flagship, the bridge shook with the thunder of commands. Officers screamed for more power, more weapons, more fire. Every eye watched the single human ship cutting through the void. This is madness. Kale's second-in-command shouted, "Why does it not fall?" Kale's voice was low, his eyes unblinking. Because it is not just a ship, it is something more. The battle raged. Alien beams cut across space, hammering the human vessel again and again. But each strike only made the ship glow brighter. Its hull shimmered like living steel, drinking in the fire. On worlds across the galaxy, civilians stared at their screens. In disbelief, they had expected the humans to be wiped out in minutes. Instead, they watched in silence as the lone vessel withstood the wrath of entire empires. Some began to whisper. Some began to fear. And then, the human ship struck back. Single cannon rotated, locking onto the swarm of alien fighters. It fired once. Just once, the beam split into 1,000 shards of light, each one hunting, each one precise. Fighters exploded like sparks in the night. Squadrons vanished in seconds. Gasps filled command centers across the galaxy. Entire fleets that once mocked. Humanity now watched in silence. Inside the human ship, Captain Elias Ward stood steady on the command deck. His face was calm, but his eyes carried steel. "Next target," he said softly. The ship obeyed Dot. Its weapons pulsed again. This time, an alien dreadnought, the pride of the Karth Dominion, was hit. The massive warship, larger than a city, shuddered. Then it split apart, broken in half like glass. Billions of aliens watching across the stars fell silent. The laughter from the four had died completely. Now there was only fear. On Kale's flagship, his officers panicked. "Admiral, we are losing ships faster than we can count." "Pull back," another shouted. "We cannot stand against this weapon." But Kale raised his claw for silence. His voice was cold. "Do you not see? This is not a weapon. This is a message." He leaned forward, eyes locked on the human vessel. "The humans sent one ship because they wanted us to understand. They don't need more." His officers froze. The truth hit them like ice. But Kale was not done. His teeth bared in a cruel smile. "And yet, every weapon has limits. No matter how strong, we will find theirs." He slammed his claw on the command table. "Signal the council. Deploy the flagship cannon." The order raced across the fleets. Deep within the council's dreadnoughts, ancient weapons powered up devices forbidden by treaty. Weapons meant to crack planets in half. For the first time, humanity would face the true rage of the galaxy. Dot inside the human vessel. Alarms whispered. The crew watched the sensors spike. Energy readings far beyond normal. Something enormous was being prepared. "Captain," one officer said, her voice tense. "They're charging something we've never seen before." Ward nodded slowly. His voice remained calm. "Let them fire." The crew stared. "Sir?" Ward's eyes narrowed. "We need the galaxy to see. We need them to understand." The alien fleets shifted, clearing space. The Council's dreadnought raised its massive cannon. Power built, brighter and brighter, until the entire system shook. Billions. Across the galaxy leaned closer to their screens. The cannon fired. A beam of unimaginable energy ripped across the void, cutting through space itself. It smashed into the human ship with the fury of a dying star. The light was blinding. Sensors went dark. For a moment, everyone thought it was over. When the light faded, the human ship still stood dot silent, glowing, unbroken. Gasps filled the galaxy. Kale's officers fell back, pale with fear. "Impossible." One whispered. Ward's voice rang across every comm channel in the system. "Calm, cold, certain. Is this your greatest weapon? Then hear this. Humanity has survived worse. You cannot break us." His ship powered up. Energy gathered along its hull. The stars themselves seemed to bend as its core lit with fire. Dot. And then the human vessel fired back. The beam tore through space, faster than thought, striking the Council's dreadnought. The mighty warship screamed as its shield shattered, its hull cracked, and its engines went dark. Silence. The galaxy stared. One ship, one strike, one kill. Admiral Kale's claws trembled for the first time in his life. The truth was undeniable. Now, humanity had not sent one ship as a sign of weakness. They had sent one ship as a warning. Ward's voice came again, steady as stone. "One ship is enough. Because Earth remembers. Earth endures. And Earth fights." Across the galaxy, no one laughed anymore. But deep in Kale's mind, a thought lingered. If this was only one ship, what would happen if Earth sent more? The galaxy was terrified, and the war had only just begun. The battlefield had gone quiet. Wreckage of alien warships drifted across the stars, glowing like broken lanterns. The once proud fleets of the Galactic Council floated in ruins, their fighters scattered, their dreadnoughts silent. And at the center of it all, the lone human ship still stood, untouched, unshaken. On Admiral Kale's flagship, silence pressed. Heavy on the bridge, officers sat frozen, unable to speak. The galaxy had just watched their most powerful weapon destroyed with a single human strike. Kale's eyes burned as he leaned forward. Find out how they did it, now. Technicians scrambled to scan the human vessel, their claws tapping frantically on glowing consoles. Data poured in, but the results made no sense. "Admiral," one officer whispered, "their energy readings, they are beyond scale. It is as if the ship does not burn fuel. It consumes what we fire at it." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Consumes?" "Yes, sir. Every blast we send only makes it stronger." A shiver moved through the crew. Suddenly, their countless attacks no longer looked like bravery. They looked like feeding a beast. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, scholars and scientists rushed to analyze the battle. On hidden channels, theories spread like wildfire. Impossible technology, stolen from the precursors. "No, this is not technology. This is alive." Whispers grew into fear. The galaxy wanted answers. Inside the human ship, Captain Elias Ward stood with his crew. The glow of their strange engines pulsed behind him, filling the bridge with white light. One officer, young and shaken, finally asked the question burning in all their minds. "Captain, should we reveal the truth?" Ward was silent for a long moment. His eyes studied the endless wreckage outside the window. Finally, he answered, "Not yet. The galaxy must understand fear before they understand us." His words were cold, final, but far away. On neutral worlds untouched by the Council, others were beginning to piece the truth together. A historian spoke to a crowded chamber. 300 years ago, Earth vanished from the records. The Council claimed they were too weak, too primitive, not worth notice. But what if they disappeared for another reason? What if they were preparing? The room fell silent. Another voice, older, cracked with fear, spoke next. The humans were exiled, banished to the edge of known space. Perhaps this is the result. Centuries of anger, centuries of building in silence. The whispers spread across the stars. Could it be true? Could humanity have built such a weapon in secret? Back on Kale's flagship, his second-in-command trembled. "Admiral, if one ship can do this, what happens if Earth has more?" The words hung in the air, like a death sentence. Kale said nothing. He was thinking, calculating. Finally, he gave a slow, cruel smile. "Then we must find Earth before they send another." The Council agreed. Fleets pulled back from the battlefield, but scouts raced into the dark, desperate to locate the hidden cradle of humanity. The galaxy's greatest hunt had begun, but they did not know the truth. The secret of the human ship was older, darker, stranger than they imagined. Inside the vessel's core, beyond steel and armor, something pulsed. Not machine, not fuel. Something else. It was a heart, a living core, grown from Earth's most dangerous discovery, a fusion of alien precursor relics and human will. The ship was not just built. It was born, and it obeyed humanity alone. Captain Ward stood in silence before the pulsing core. He placed a hand on the glass. The glow spread across his palm, warm and alive. The ship spoke not in words, but in feeling. A bond only humans could share. A bond of survival, of rage, of memory. Ward's eyes hardened. "They want Earth," he whispered. "Then they will learn what Earth has become." Back on alien worlds, children cried at the thought of the lone human ship. Traders whispered in markets. Soldiers refused orders to face it. The galaxy had faced countless wars. But never had it faced something like this. One ship, one secret, one warning. And yet, Admiral Kale did not retreat in fear. He stared at the wreckage, claws digging into the metal of his chair. "They think they can frighten us with one ship?" he growled. "Then we will show them the strength of the galaxy united." He turned to his officers. "Call every empire, every fleet, every weapon we have hidden in the dark. If the humans wish to reveal their secret, then we will reveal ours." The Council's fleets scattered, summoning allies, preparing for a war the galaxy had never seen. But in the silence of his bridge, Kale whispered the truth no one else dared admit. If one ship is this strong, then humanity is no longer an enemy. They are a nightmare. The galaxy's greatest secret had been revealed, and it was only the beginning. Asterisk. The galaxy was burning with fear. From the frozen moons of the Vorin to the desert cities of the Karth Dominion, one phrase spread like a storm. The humans sent only one ship. Markets fell silent. Armies trembled. Children whispered the story in the dark. The lone human vessel had destroyed fleets and shattered the Council's pride. And now, the galaxy wanted revenge. Admiral Kale stood before the Council of Lords, his voice echoing through the chamber. "They believe they can terrify us with one ship. They believe we will bow. They are wrong. Together, we will crush them. Together, we will remind them that the galaxy belongs to us." The chamber erupted with cheers. Leaders from 100. Worlds pledged fleets, weapons, soldiers. For the first time in centuries, empires that hated each other now stood united. Against Earth. Soon, an armada unlike anything ever seen before took shape. 50,000 ships, armored dreadnoughts, weapons older than history itself. They gathered at the edge of the void, their combined firepower enough to turn planets into dust. And at their heart, Admiral Kale's flagship waited, its cannons glowing like suns. This time, Kale swore, the humans will not survive. Far away, inside the human ship, Captain Elias Ward watched the reports come in. His crew was silent, their faces pale as they read the data. "Sir," one officer said, voice shaking, "it's not just one fleet. It's everyone, every empire, every system. They've all united against us." Ward said nothing for a long time. His eyes were fixed on the glowing stars ahead. Finally, he spoke. "Good. Let them come." His words sent chills through the crew. The galaxy's armada advanced. 50,000 ships cutting through the void like a tide of steel. Kale's voice boomed across every channel, filling the stars with his command. "This is the end of your terror, humans. You cannot face us all. You cannot fight the galaxy." Billions watched across screens, waiting for the human ship to fall. At last, and then the battle began. The first wave struck. Thousands of beams and missiles rained down. The void lit up like a new sun, tearing at space itself. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the human vessel to shatter. But when the light faded, the ship still stood. It did not fire. It did not run. It only waited. Kale snarled. "Keep firing. Burn them down." More waves came. Energy storms ripped across the stars. Alien captains screamed orders. But no matter how much firepower they unleashed, the human ship did not fall. Instead, something changed. Its hull began to glow brighter, hotter. The energy of the attacks flowed into it, feeding it, making it stronger. On alien bridges, officers panicked. "Admiral, the more we fire, the more it grows." Kale slammed his claws against the console. "It cannot be endless. Push harder. They must have a limit." But deep inside the human vessel, Captain Ward whispered to himself, "There is no limit, not anymore." And then the ship finally moved. One cannon turned. It fired once, a Karth Dominion dreadnought miles long. Armed with 100 cannons vanished in a burst of light, the human ship fired again. And again. Each shot was precise, unstoppable. Ships that had stood for centuries as symbols of Galactic. Power fell in seconds. The galaxy's armada was tearing apart. On Kale's flagship, chaos filled the bridge. "Admiral, we're losing formations. Entire fleets are breaking. They're running from one ship." Kale roared, his voice shaking the walls. "Stand and fight. We are the galaxy." But his words were empty now. Across the battlefield, captains ordered retreat. Commanders abandoned their posts. The armada was collapsing. Billions watched in horror as the greatest fleet in history broke before a single human vessel. And then came the final blow. The human ship's core flared. Energy surged, bending space itself. A beam of light erupted. Not at a single ship, but at the battlefield itself. The void cracked. Gravity tore apart. Ships were ripped into nothing, their hulls collapsing under the pressure of the strike. In one moment, thousands of ships vanished. Silence followed. The stars grew still. The greatest armada the galaxy had ever known. Destroyed by one human vessel. On Kale's flagship, the survivors stared at the ruins. Officers whispered in terror. "This isn't war. This is extinction." Kale's claws trembled. For the first time in his life, fear pierced his heart. But he forced himself to stand tall. "This is not the end," he said coldly. "This is only the beginning. If they want to fight the galaxy, then the galaxy will burn." Inside the human ship, Ward stood in silence, watching the wreckage. His crew waited for orders. Finally, he spoke. His voice was quiet, heavy. This is what they wanted. Now the galaxy knows. But the question remains. He turned, his eyes dark with resolve. "Do we end it here, or do we show them what waits beyond Earth?" The galaxy had struck back and lost, but the war was not over. The galaxy was broken. Wreckage drifted in the void. The remains of 50,000 ships. Once, that armada had been the pride of the Council. Now, it was a graveyard. Worlds across the stars fell silent. Entire populations watched the transmissions in fear, whispering the same question. Why? Why only one ship? Admiral Kale sat in the helm. Ruins of his flagship, his pride crushed. Around him, his officers stared at their screens, pale with dread. "This is no war," one muttered. "This is punishment." But Kale's eyes narrowed. "No, this is a message. And we still don't understand it." On the human ship, Captain Elias Ward finally gave the order his crew had been waiting for. "Send the transmission." Across the galaxy, screens flickered to life. Markets, halls of power, homes on distant moons. Billions of eyes turned to the same image. Captain Ward, standing tall on the bridge of the lone human ship. His voice was calm, cold. "You ask why Earth sent only one ship. The answer is simple." He paused. The silence was heavy, crushing. "Ship is all it takes." Gasps echoed across worlds. But Ward wasn't finished. "For centuries, you called us weak. You exiled us to the dark. You thought we would vanish." His eyes burned like fire. "Instead, we learned, we built. We grew. And while you fought each other, we prepared." He raised his hand, and behind him the ship's glowing core pulsed like a living star. "This is not our strongest weapon. This is not our fleet. This is only one ship, a messenger. We sent it not to conquer, but to warn." The galaxy trembled. Billions leaned closer. Ward's voice dropped to a whisper that carried across every channel. "If one ship terrifies you, imagine what waits behind it. In hidden hangars, deep beneath the crust of Earth, titanic shapes stirred. Rows of vessels slept in silence, their cores pulsing like beating hearts. Hundreds, thousands, all waiting for the signal. The truth was worse than the galaxy had ever imagined. Humanity had not only built one ship, humanity had built a fleet, and the lone vessel in the void was only the beginning. On alien worlds, chaos erupted. Some leaders demanded surrender at once. Others called for vengeance. Armies broke apart, refusing orders. Populations rioted in fear of what was to come. But Admiral Kale, he only smiled, a broken smile, sharp with madness. So that is your answer, humans. You want the galaxy to kneel. But hear me well. He leaned forward, eyes burning. We will never kneel. His officers stared at him in horror, but Kale pressed on. If Earth has 1,000 ships, then the galaxy will build 10,000. If you want a war of nightmares, we will give it to you. But deep down, even Kale felt it, the truth gnawing at his heart. He had seen what one ship could do. He knew what a fleet would mean. It meant the end back on the human vessel. Ward turned off the transmission. His crew stared at him in silence, shaken by the weight of his words. Sir, one whispered, if they come again, with everything they have, what do we do? Ward placed a hand on the glowing core of the ship. The light spread across the bridge, filling it with warmth. We do what humans have always done, he said softly. We fight. We survive, and if needed, his eyes hardened, we end this. Outside, the lone ship drifted among the Sen. Wreckage of the galaxy's greatest fleet. Alone, silent, watching. But now, the galaxy knew the truth. One ship had destroyed them. 1,000 ships waited behind it. And Earth had only just begun. Asterisk.